Hey everyone, welcome back to Add-ons I. In today's tutorial, we are going to create a beautiful cinematic outdoor scene in Blender, complete with grass, trees, wooden props, fog, lights and camera animation. We will be using BlenderKit add-on for free asset, sculpting our terrain, customizing particles, adding atmospheric fog, and animating both lights and the camera to achieve that magical cinematic vibe. So let's dive right in and start building this amazing environment step by step. And just in case, if your Blender layout looks a little different from mine, don't worry, you can grab my free custom default setup file from my Gumroad page. The link is in the video description. First, open Blender. For this tutorial, we'll be using a single add-on called BlenderKit. As you can see, it's quick access bar right here. To add this add-on to your Blender, simply go to any browser and search for blenderkit.com. You will land on this page, click download BlenderKit. Once the page opens, you can download the add-on for free. They also provide an installation guide, though the process is slightly different in the newer version of the Blender. Anyway, scroll up and click to download the BlenderKit add-on. It will only take a few seconds. Once you download it, go back to the Blender, go to Edit, click on Preference and choose Add-ons. In the top right corner of the panel, click Install from File or Install from Disk depending on your version. Locate the downloaded add-on file, select it and click Install from File. Once installed, make sure the checkbox is enabled to activate the add-on and then click Save Preference. Now you will see the BlenderKit quick access search bar in Blender. I am going to click on this filter icon and check free first. As you can see, there are tons of free assets available with over 10,000 results to choose from. First, delete the default cube. Then in the BlenderKit search bar, type grass. You will see various grass options, but I am going to use grass with large area by Adam Haneke. Click on it and it will be downloaded directly into your scene. Next, search for Chinese house. You can choose any house you like, but I will be using old Chinese roof house by Free Poly. Once added, it will appear in your scene. Now select the large grass plane, press tab to enter the edit mode and scale it up according to your vision. I am going to make it quite large, somewhere around this size. Next, right click on it and choose subdivide. Then set the number of curves to 100, right click again and choose subdivide once more. This time we are increasing the curves to around 200. After that, bring the 3D cursor to this area, press T to bring up the key options, left click and hold to see the option and select circle selection. Use this to select the area of the plane where you don't want the grass, something like this. Then once the selection is done, press Ctrl G and choose assign to a new group. This will automatically assign the selected vertices to a new vertex group. Now switch back to box selection and then go to sculpt mode. Keep the default brush but change the radius to 75. Left click and hover the brush over the plane to customize the terrain to your liking. If any areas looks too high or rough, simply hold shift and left click to smooth the terrain surface. Keep sculpting until you get the shape you want. Just like this. Next, select the plane, go to the Particles tab, set the number to 14,550, set the seed to 4, set the hair length to 10 and segment to 8. Now enable render view mode to see the grass in your scene. Expand the vertex group section and under density, select the group we created earlier. You will notice that all the grass now concentrated on that vertex group path. We actually want the opposite effect. So simply click on this invert icon and now the grass distribution look as expected. Next, go to the render properties. Click on film to expand it and uncheck transparent. Then back to add-on search bar, click on HDRI search, search for sunset and choose sunset HDRI by Free Poly. Set the resolution to 1024 and click on OK to add it to your scene. After that, go back to the particle tab, increase the number from 14,550 to 18,550 for a denser grass effect. For the ground, search for crack and choose crack ground by YDD 3D. Then add it to your scene for a realistic terrain surface. Next, search for pine tree and I am going to choose pine tree by Andrei Patrikovich. Drag and drop it into the scene and place it properly. For a second tree, I am using pine tree double by the same artist. Drag and drop it in the scene and position it properly. Also, if you want, you can rotate it as needed to fit your scene. Now let's add the camera. Press Shift A, go to camera and add a simple camera. Then press F2 to rename it. Next, adjust your viewport to the scene angle you want and press Ctrl+Shift+0 to match the camera view to the current viewport. Click on this lock icon to lock the camera to view and fine tune the angle to capture your desired composition. After that, select the camera, go to the camera properties, set the focal length to 27, adjust the camera view again if needed to perfect your framing. And now enable render view mode. You will see the scene covered with grass. Then go to the output properties and check render region, then crop to render region. Next, back to the add-on search bar, search for wooden table. I am using this wooden table and chair by Abhi Alapo. Drag and drop it in the scene. Rotate and position it properly. Select the chair, press Alt D to create a link duplicate and place it as needed. Repeat this step for additional chair. Also scale the table to your preferred size. Now select the ground plane, switch to edit mode, expand the clean area if required. Assign it again to your vertex group to keep grass distribution correct. Back in the object mode, search for kit. I am using this wooden kit chair. Drag it into the scene. Scale it to match the size of the other chairs and rotate it so it fits naturally in your composition. Next, search for barrel. I am going to use this old wooden barrel by YDD3D. Drag and drop it into a scene and scale it as needed. Press Alt D to create link duplicates and scatter multiple barrels around the scene. You can also select these two barrels, link duplicate it and move the duplicate on the top of the existing barrel for variety. Now search for pile off. And I am using this photo scan pile off Clumpy Dot by Joshua Whitney. Press S to scale it up and place it on the mountains. Then link duplicate it and position it on the left side of the mountain for more natural variation. Next, search for grass and select this grass dandelion yellow by Amanpreet Bajwa. Drag and drop it into the scene. Scale it to match the surrounding grass. Press Alt D to create link duplicates. Scatter them across the terrain wherever you want them visible like this. Now enable the render view mode to see the progress so far. After that, search for rocks or stone. I am using stone by Real Scan. Drag and drop it into the scene, place it in the front of the double pine tree, rotate it and adjust it properly. Then link duplicate it and place another stone on the left side, somewhere around here. Enable render view mode again to check the overall look and make sure everything fits naturally in your scene. Now let's enhance the scene with compositing effect. Go to the compositing editor panel, add a glare node and match this value. Next, add a lens distortion node, check the fade, set the distortion value to 0.20 and dispersion value to 0.10. Set the compositor view to camera so you can see the effect live in the viewport. Next, go to the render properties, scroll down to color management, set the look to AGX and view to medium high contrast. You can also experiment with other color management options to get your desired look, but I am happy with these settings for now. Switch back to normal solid view mode, then press Shift A. Add a sunlight and rotate it around 0.526 degrees. Enable render view mode and set the base color to a warmer tone to give it a cinematic feel. Now let's add a fog into our scene. Press Shift A, add a plane, move it to edit mode and scale it slightly larger than the ground plane. Press E to extrude it upward so it covers the entire scene. Go to the object data properties, expand the viewport display and set the display as to wire. Switch to the shading editor panel. Rename the plane to fog. Click on new to create a new material and rename it as fog. Then delete the principal BSDF node. Then add a principal volume node and connect this volume output to the volume input of the material output. Change the smoke color to bright white. Add a noise texture node and a color ramp node. And connect the color ramp output to the density of the principal volume. Connect the noise texture color to the factor of the color ramp. Also enable render view mode. Set the compositor view to camera. Finally, drag the black color slider of the color ramp to the right to refine the fog density and achieve the look you want. Next, select the noise texture node, set the scale value to 4.1, detail to maximum value of 15 and roughness to 0.75. Then go to the edit, preference, add-ons, search for node triangular and check the box to enable it. Go back to the noise texture node and press Ctrl T. This will automatically add a mapping node and a texture coordinate node, completing the final node setup for the fog. To animate the fog, select the noise texture node, switch it from 3D to 40. On frame 1, keep the W value at 0, right click on it and choose Insert Keyframe. Move to the last frame, set the W value to 0.1. Right click again and insert another keyframe. This will create a evolving movement of the fog. Next, to make the fog move from left to right, we're gonna use mapping node. On frame 1, keep the X location value to 0, right click on it and insert a single keyframe. Move to the last frame, and if I move the X location value to positive side, the fog moves from right to left, but we want it to move left to right. For that, adjust the X location to around -0.2, right click and insert a single keyframe. Now the fog will subtle move across the scene. Next, select the principal volume node and set the emission strength to 0.001. This will softly brighten the fog into a scene, giving it more presence and realism. Back in the viewport, in our render view mode, on frame 100, go to the world properties, set the strength to 1 and add a keyframe. Then move to the frame 140, set the strength to 0 and add another keyframe. This will create a gradual fade of the lighting, adding depth and drama to your cinematic scene. Next, select the sunlight, go to the light properties, on frame 100, keep the strength as it is and add a keyframe. Move to the frame 140, set the strength to 0 and add another keyframe to create a smooth fade out of the sunlight. Now select the fog object, go to the material properties, expand the volume, set the base color to night blue and the emission strength to 0.002. Then add a keyframe for both. Move to frame 100 again, change the emission color to white and add a keyframe. Then set the strength to 0 and add another keyframe. This will animate the fog's color and brightness over time. Let's add a point light inside the wooden house. Place it where you want. Go to the light properties, set the power to 850, radius to 0.721 and change the color to a warm yellow. Enable render view mode to see the effect of the indoor light. Next, let's add lantern for outdoor lighting. Search for lantern and I am using this old lantern by Adobe Editors. Drag and drop it into a scene and scale it appropriately. Link duplicate the lantern and place another one on the table to enhance the lighting. Select the lantern light, go to the material tab, expand emission and on frame 140, set the strength to 40,000 and add a keyframe. Move to frame 100, set the strength to 0 and add another keyframe. This will make the lantern light gradually turn on over time. Finally, select the point light, on frame 100 set the strength to 0 and add a keyframe, and on frame 140 set the strength to 850 and insert another keyframe to animate the lantern throughout the scene. Now let's animate the camera. Select the camera, go to the frame 1, press K and add a location and rotation keyframe. Move to the last frame, adjust the camera view and move it closer to the wooden house. Press K again to add another location and rotation keyframe. Hit the spacebar to see the camera animation and you will see your camera movement in action. And that's it, our cinematic outdoor environment in Blender is complete. We have covered everything from installation BlenderKit, adding props, animating fog, adjusting lights, and finishing it off with the camera movement and compositing. I hope you learned some new tricks and techniques from this tutorial. Also, if you did like to explore this scene further, I have made this current Blender file available on my Gumroad page. The link is in the video description below. You can open it, study all the settings, and experiment with your own variation. If you enjoy this tutorial, share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to tag me on Instagram with your renders. I did love to see your versions of this scene. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Until then, follow Abhi for more.